What's up, IdleTalk listeners? Today we're back, and as I promised, we're gonna have a little bit more of a thought out episode today. And by thought out, I mean I know what I'm gonna talk about kind of ahead of time. I kind of got a little outline running in my brain right now, but we're at the computer. We're at our desk right now. We're just chilling. Our usual studio is back there, vibing. We'll pull that out for a later time. But as I'm recording this, it's Thursday. A couple days before Tuesday. But a little housekeeping going on. I'm wearing some merch, something worthwhile by this small independent artist called Tess. Good alternative rock kind of vibe to her. I hope that her is appropriate to use. I haven't really checked the pronouns, but I'm pretty sure it's okay. I'm like kind of sure, but it's just something different to vibe to. Something that I don't really listen to, but it's good to venture out the things that you usually listen to, and accept new vibrations in that way when it comes to consuming music. So a little shout out to you, Tess, there. So that out of the way, let's talk about, am I crazy? Because there's a lot of different things that can go into that question. But I set my alarms this way. I think I briefly touched upon it, but I kind of really want to go in and further explain myself with this scenario. So I would wake up. If I got to be out by a certain time, I have to set at least like 4 or 5 alarms beforehand, just to kind of maybe like reward myself in thinking that I have more sleep than I usually do. And I don't know why I do that, right? I can't explain to you why that happens or why I do it. I just feel like it rewards me in a way of doing that. Like I get to reward myself with that little kind of break that happens there. And I feel like I am well rested throughout the day when I do that, as opposed to just waking up straight up at a certain time and then going on my day. I don't know why that happens. I still feel like I'm tired throughout the day, no matter how much sleep I get. It's just one of those things that I feel like a lot can get accomplished in that amount of time that I'm awake, and I'm not too sure how to handle that yet. But as we move along, as we go, I just find myself more comfortable in that kind of little bit of a chaotic start to the morning. I don't think it negatively impacts me, but I'll have to like get some professional help, I guess, in learning why I do that and do it the way I do. I don't think I'm crazy. Other people call me crazy because of how I set that alarm structure, but I personally believe that it works for me. And so if it works for me, mind your business. Mind the business that pays you. But we haven't had, I want to say, any I haven't reached out to any musicians yet of getting their music on the podcast. So that's something I'm going to do this week as we post the podcast episode, as I go through my emails. I do want to kind of like spread the idea of new music to other people, and explore my, unventured musical horizons. I want to kind of expand on that, and definitely just pay attention to a lot of smaller, newer artists. I feel like there's nothing better than finding an artist in their growth stage and then seeing them like explode and pop off onto the scene. So I feel fortunate enough to where I have discovered Jessie Reyes very early, and then kind of forgot about her, and then I saw her on Eminem's album, and I was like, oh snap, that's that girl from fucking Canada that's been popping off, that's been, she's got hits. And it's interesting seeing them explode in that way, and I kind of want to start doing that more often and appreciating the artist in their younger stages of stardom, as opposed to kind of like hopping on when they're a household name. And I don't want to sound kind of like I'm too good to listen to music that's very popular, that I want it to be, that I want to listen to it before it's popular. No, I just think that it'll help, like, the chances of people getting to know new artists if I venture out and try some for my own. And if I like it, I'll talk about it, and if I don't like it, I won't talk about it at all, because I don't need to be talking negatively about things that I don't like. I can just keep my mouth shut, and it benefits both parties in that way. Spread more positivity for the things you do enjoy, and anything that negatively impacts you, just accept it and move on. Right? That's what it is. It's as simple as that, really. And I hope that it helps drive the new format that I kind of want to do with the podcast. We'll keep going as we've always gone. And sometimes it might stray away with this, sometimes you won't, but it's something we gotta see, something we gotta do, truly. And yeah, that's my thoughts on incorporating the music into the podcast. And I eventually do want to get these artists on the show. I want to get musicians on the show, but I also want to get other people on the show, other entrepreneurs and other small time creators. I think it's important to hear what they have to say and to give a voice, and to share their voice on the platform that I have already. So I think that's just amazing in itself. Also, TikTok. I haven't been on TikTok. I haven't been active on there for a while because some clips were muted and taken down. And I heard that it takes a couple months before the algorithm suits you as, like, acceptable to promote and post. So I did participate in the trend where you post your most viral clip and it went viral again. It was the sound, like how loud do you keep your TV volume? And so after that, I didn't really post. But I'm going to start posting again. I think I've given the algorithm enough time to be like, I'm sorry, like, please forgive me. So TikTok viewers who watch the clips, just know we got a Discord. Links in the IG bio. I got to refresh it because, the invite's going to expire by the time you listen to this episode. But Discord, Reddit are in the Instagram bio. I hope you go check it out. And I hope you participate, because I know my TikTok viewers who watch the clips are more active on the podcast than, Instagram and other platforms. But also, I want to talk to the people that are interested in the show. And I want to, bounce ideas off, get some feedback, talk about random nonsense, quote unquote nonsense with you guys. But that's something I'm thinking of doing. Not thinking of doing, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna post this clip up for sure. But for sure, please join the Discord and the Reddit. I would love to get connected with the people that enjoyed the clips so far, and maybe you guys will give me some ideas, because I would be eternally grateful for a ton of ideas, because it's hard to kind of figure things out. I don't know, I think especially because, like, if I think of something, I'll start podcasting by myself. Like, if I'm in the car driving somewhere, I think of an idea and I'll start going on. Like, I want to say a podcast every day, a lot. Like, I sit there and I talk to myself, and I'm thinking to myself, fuck, this is such a good idea. I should have not, like, talked about it, because then it doesn't give the same impact or depth that I would usually want it to be in front of the microphone. So, I tend to podcast about random shit all the time. Like, I don't do it with other people in the car, but if I'm by myself, like, if there was like a like fly on the wall kind of scenario, like, it's actually interesting how much I podcast about it. And I think it's, like, becoming an obsession, podcasting. And I think, as unhealthy as that sound, I kind of need it to be an obsession. I need it to be the thing I focus on and talk about the most. I need it to be an unhealthy obsession, as I think it was before. I'm now realizing that it's currently becoming an unhealthy obsession, and I use unhealthy a lot, because I think that's what society dictates it as an unhealthy obsession. But if I really want to grow the podcast and I really want to connect with the people that I want to connect to, I have to have my fucking full 100% effort into it, balls to the wall. Like, there can't be ifs, ands, buts about it. I got to be putting my head down, putting out podcasts, reaching out to people, reaching out to different communities, and getting different people on the platform. So, speaking of, what I need from everyone here. So this year, Spotify is going to be introducing a rating system for podcasts. So once that goes live, I will tell you. And then we gotta put ratings on IdleTalk on Spotify for my Spotify listeners. I know it's a very Apple Podcast favorited podcast, but to the people that listen to podcasts on Spotify, it'll truly be a blessing if you guys did that for me, and it'll be an amazing thing to kind of get done and to do. So Spotify, I hope that my Spotify listeners, once you see that rating options, please leave a rating. But once it's live, I'll tell you, as I always do. But another thing that I have, I want to talk about dreams, but I kind of wanted to talk about something first. And I want to talk about, I have a vision, IdleTalk listeners. And let me tell you, I want to be the president of the United States of America. I am not old enough to be the president yet, but I kind of want, that's a dream that I have. Like, I feel like I would make a good president. I feel like if we structure this in a way to where I could be president, but then the House, my senators, everybody like that's involved in running the government, if we can get the key people in the right positions, I feel like being a president would be so easy and get things accomplished so much faster, right? So if like other people had interest in being part of the government that runs one of the greatest countries in the world, like we kind of all need to be on the same side, regardless if we're on one side or the other side. I'm not going to name the sides, but I think that'll make my run as president easier and more fluent and more, accessible to change. And yeah, that's one of the things I want to do. I want to become president. I want to do the hardest job in this country, particularly because, people go in there, looking kind of young, except our current president and our last president. But, they come out looking like absolute shit. And they come out like they were in the trenches for 8 years, which they were. But, I'm thinking, let's be the first president that doesn't come out looking like absolute garbage. And I think I can do it, guys. I'm pretty sure I could do it. I have no, political science background, but let's be that guy, I say if The Rock runs for president, right, he just opens the door for anybody in media to become president as well. So if we see Dwayne Johnson run for president, I think that's our first little move on the chessboard. Get him to be president, and that opens the door for media personnel to kind of also be president. I think that's my way in if Dwayne Johnson becomes president. So this is my PSA for you, people listening and viewing on various platforms. If Dwayne Johnson becomes president, it then, snowball affects me becoming president when I'm of age. And I think I need to become president as soon as I'm eligible to. In my 30s, let's get some shit done. We got some time. Everybody else that are going to be approaching their 30s, hit me up. We have to kind of get the positions available now to kind of be able to run the president job as efficiently as possible. So now transitioning into dreams and aspirations, I kind of want to talk about dreams in the sense of my dreams are super vivid most times. I don't know about you, but whenever I dream, and I don't dream often, right? People say you dream every day, but I don't remember those dreams. I don't wake up and if I try to write them down, I'll remember some shit. But when I do dream, it's like a movie. It's like that meme about dreams where it's GTA in Bikini Bottom with Star Wars and Harry Potter. On that kind of level, I dream in those ways. So the one dream I remember was the last one I had, and I was a dad. I was a father to a little girl who didn't know she was half demon and half a normal human girl. And the challenges of trying to raise a daughter, knowing those things about her, was just really hard for me in my dream. I was I have to homeschool her. I can't really let her out the house. I can't give her the normal interactions she would have as a human girl because of this one side of her that she doesn't necessarily understand yet and doesn't necessarily have control of. And that was very interesting to me because I woke up and I was explaining my dream to one of my housemates, and I was like, yeah, I mean, we finally got to the point in my dream where I was able to like, okay, let's put you in public school. Let's see what happens, right? And then something triggered her in school, and then she demon timed the school, and then we had to move to like fucking Utah. And I don't know why Utah was an important part of my dream. I've been to Utah, sure, but it was like we were in Utah and we had a nice house, and like it was more like a farmer's kind of life after that, at that point. And small community, everybody knows everyone, but it was just such an interesting thing to be like, wow, we really had to move from a city to Utah. And I was quite enjoying Utah a lot more than I was living in that city that I was in. I didn't know which city it was. It didn't give me any indication of where I was, but where I ended up in was Utah. And I don't know how to kind of like process and then go from there. Like I've never had like a part 2 to that dream. Normally, if I go back to sleep, I continue the dream and pick up right where I left off. But I went back to sleep and it just ended there. I don't remember anything past that. But I remember specifically kind of trying to deal with the fact that I was talking to a little girl who had, something different about her, right? For layman's terms. And I just could not get to her and could not explain to her why things had to be a certain way. And no matter how hard I tried to communicate with her, no matter how hard I tried to explain it, I could not fully understand the magnitude of this situation, because I was a normal human adult. I was a normal human boy, right? And I don't know. It just gets me thinking sometimes. It's like, wow, I can't truly understand a situation because of my own personal being, how I am. I can't fully understand one side of an argument because it's not either it's not affecting me, or B, I don't meet the criteria to be affected by whatever that other party is going through. And I don't know, that just I don't want to say messed me, but it's something that pops in my head every once in a while. I'm like, okay, cool, how do we do that? So, and some aspirations, I'm kind of learning how to write things down and speak them out, and be able to sort of put that positive energy out there so that it helps create these opportunities that I talk about and these opportunities that I want to occur. And so I'm looking at 2022 is, how do I set the goals that I did and how do I achieve them either faster and more efficiently and have them be more impactful, right? So I have the old IdleTalk goals in front of me, and I made these before our first episode even went live. So before we even started filming the IdleTalk episodes, or the practice episodes at the beginning, before our first episode on January 1st of 2020. So I wrote down 3 goals. This is literally all the goals that I have right here. Just 3 on a sticky note. And I wrote them on a sticky note and I attached them to my notebook because I wanted to be able to switch them out and change these goals, as often as I need to. So the first one was reach 100 Instagram followers, right? We're at 87, been hard stuck there. So I have to assess and address the situation on how to kind of, increase our Instagram foothold, right? And that's something we got to work on, obviously. But 87 is 87% of the task complete. So let's look at that instead of the 13 that we didn't complete. But the second goal was reach 100 TikTok followers, which I thought was going to be the hardest goal out of all 3. Here's why. I did not expect things to go the way they did. We had a viral clip on TikTok, not once, but twice. And that helped an influx of followers come in and discover the page and think that, hey, I might like this in the future. And so after that viral clip, we thought, we at that time, we thought, hey, let's keep the momentum up. Let's keep doing things. But we didn't necessarily understand why they liked what they liked. It wasn't necessarily the people in the clip. It wasn't necessarily how it was brought upon. It was more like that it was something people talk about and something people related to on a deeper level, is deciding what is too loud for your TV volume, and explaining in the clip that how my sister does TV volume and how I do it, and how at the time Fabian was the other participant in the clip and how he does it, and it just got the discussion going. It got the juices flowing for people to be like, hey, this is how I do it. And a lot of people tended to agree on the lower volume being the correct amount of TV volume. And so I just think it was just interesting being able to talk about that with people in the comments. Like, let's say we had 200 comments. In reality, we had 400 comments, because I was sitting there and I was talking to my co-host and I was like, we need to be replying to these comments. Like, this is going to help people feel connected to the podcast. And by simply replying to people, I've noticed at the moment that when I replied to somebody and had a meaningful conversation with them, quote unquote meaningful, they tended to hit the follow button immediately after. They're like, this person talked to me, and so I'm going to follow them. And so, as TikTok grows as a platform, because it's still in its early stages, I believe, I think it's heading into its medium stages, where I think it's like it's establishing itself. It's still it's still showing us new rules and community guidelines. So that goes into the algorithm as well, of like, hey, it takes a couple months for you to go back on the robot's good side. But that's what I think it's like truly important. Like, that's what I took from our viral clips on TikTok. And the last one was reach 1,000 plays on our podcast. And now I think this one's a little bit cheating, but in reality, we didn't release a podcast every week of the year last year. I think out of the 52 weeks, we might have dropped 42 or 43 podcast episodes. So you do the math. I just wanted a minimum of 1,000 plays on the podcast. And a lot of the podcast, the numbers were skewed. Like, we had very little listening to a particular episode versus a lot of people listening to another episode. So all in all, we hit that margin by a long shot. And so now it's, how do I take what I learned with the podcast episodes and kind of create the same thing that people like to listen to. And a big challenge in that is understanding what people want to listen to versus what I want to talk about, versus a healthy balance, because I don't necessarily want to talk about certain things, right? I want to talk about what I want to talk about, but then people aren't going to listen necessarily to everything that I want to talk about. So it's a healthy balance that needs to be struck, and one that just kind of needs to, be worked on and be tweaked every single week. It's not something that I can just set at the beginning of the year and be like, boom, this is the formula. It's going to work for 52 weeks. And no, that's not the case. Like, we literally got back to recording. I keep saying we, but I should be saying I, but I'll say we because I want to incorporate every one of you here. We got back on the 10th, dropped on the 11th, and then that was like, the second week of January? We missed 2 weeks of January, and then what does that mean? Like, again, we're not going to have 52 episodes this year. We could. I won't lie to you. We could have 52 episodes this year to average out a podcast a week. But am I going to do that? No. I don't think so. I don't think that's one of my goals, is to have 52 podcasts this year. Because I believe that when burnout happens, I should be focused on not feeling burnt out, right? Not feeling that pressure to record, and I don't want to put out things that aren't necessarily good or held to the high of standards that I usually have. And I'm not saying every podcast is a banger, sure, and I kind of have to self-reflect and think about that, really. Like, am I okay with missing a week or two whenever I don't think the podcast is good enough to be put out? I really need to do that behind closed doors and really evaluate the state of some of the episodes of the podcast. But I wouldn't delete any episodes, if I'm being honest with you, especially the ones where we went solo for a long time. I wouldn't delete those at all, because that's a crucial piece of IdleTalk history there. The podcast went to a solo podcast instead of a duo, and it really shows the extent that I love this podcast, because when the podcast went solo, I could have easily said, that's it, close the doors, we're done, IdleTalk is dead, we wasted X amount of money on it, it is what it is. And truly, I wanted to keep going. I still do want to keep going, and that's maybe like an unwritten goal that I should have here, is like the willpower of the podcast and doing the podcast and keeping it alive. And being truly passionate about this project, because this project came about from another project that I wanted to do. I wanted all my friends on the show. I wanted everybody to have a mic, and I wanted to kind of have like a group chat kind of vibe to a podcast. Like, I want you guys to feel like you were part of this friend group. And then that went down to 2, and then eventually went down to 1, which I think I want to bring back to 2 some way, shape, or form. I might have to have my original idea, having that group chat vibe. I might have to revolve people in as a second host, but I do like having to talk with another person and getting to know another person, and necessarily getting to pick somebody's brain about a topic they're truly passionate about. Like, I have some people lined up already for this year. I just need to set a firm date, and I'm putting that out there, right? The people that I've talked to about being on the show, I'm putting this out there that I will get a firm date, I will get a firm location, and I will podcast my ass off with you. And I'm trying to get one shoot day when I'm back in New York for a brief period, and just be like, all right, let's shoot this thing. Let's get in there and let's do it. And I think this is where I'm gonna end the show. We've talked quite a bit, and as an enjoyment, as a treat to the listeners, if you stuck this far, I have some bonus content at the end of this episode. I know we haven't done it in a while, since like the first 7 episodes where we put in bloopers or things like that at the end, but enjoy these moments of me drinking NyQuil and then deciding, hey, let me talk into a microphone and see what happens. I'm not drinking NyQuil recreationally. I was drinking it at the time to get over like a little cold that I was having, and like, again, we're not sure if it's COVID. Gonna get tested 100%, but it's just thoughts, like idle thoughts that I had while I was like getting ready to go to bed, and I was like, you know what? Let's talk idle talk. So I hope you enjoy that. I'm Fernando, and I'll see you next week.